If you're a high earner in your 50s or early 60s, there's a good chance you're sitting on $1 million or more in retirement savings, but you still don't feel ready. You're not alone. According to BlackRock's 2025 retirement survey, only 64% of workplace savers feel on track, even though many are actually in great shape. The truth is, retirement readiness isn't just about hitting some arbitrary dollar amount. It's about having the right indicators in place. I'm PJ Gibbs, and as a financial advisor with over 10 years of experience, I've seen countless successful professionals who are far more prepared than they realize. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through 5 key signs that show you're actually on track, so you can stop worrying and start planning with confidence. Let's start with something that might surprise you. Most people obsess over their account balance. Do I have $1 million, $2 million, $3 million? But here's what really matters. Have you been consistently saving throughout your career? Recent data from Fidelity shows that Gen X workers, folks in their mid-40s to late 50s, are saving an average of 15.2% of their income when you combine their employee contributions and their employer matches. If you've been in that ballpark for most of your career, you're doing exactly what you should be doing. Here's why this matters more than the total you've saved. Someone who saved 15% consistently from age 30 to 60 is in a much better position than someone who saved nothing until age 45 and then tried to catch up, even if they end up with similar balances. The person who saved consistently has developed the discipline and the lifestyle that can sustain retirement. They know how to live on 85% of their income because that's what they've been doing for decades. Consider this hypothetical scenario. Imagine 2 people, both age 60, with $800,000 saved. Person A has been saving 15% since they were in their 30s. Person B only started saving aggressively 5 years ago. Person A is far more likely to succeed in retirement because they've proven they can live comfortably while saving. Person B is still adjusting to that lifestyle. If you've consistently put away 12 to 20% of your income over your working years, that's a major green flag. You've already demonstrated the spending discipline retirement requires. Here's the second sign you're on track. You're not just relying on one source of income in retirement. According to the Employee Benefit Research Institute, 87% of workers expect Social Security to be a source of retirement income, and many also have 401ks, IRAs, or even pensions. If you're planning to draw from multiple buckets, meaning Social Security, your portfolio, maybe a pension or rental income, you're building exactly the kind of diversified income stream that leads to a secure retirement. Let's walk through an example. Let's say you're 60 years old making $200,000 a year. Here's what your retirement income might look like. Social Security could provide around $45,000 annually if you wait until full retirement age. Your 401k and IRAs might safely generate another $60,000 per year using a sustainable withdrawal rate. Maybe you have a small pension worth about $10,000 annual. That's $115,000 in total income. Probably enough to sustain your lifestyle, especially since you won't be saving for retirement anymore. The key here is diversification. If one source falls short, say the market has a bad year, you're not completely derailed. You can adjust your portfolio withdrawals or lean more heavily on Social Security for a year or two. This is why even high earners benefit tremendously from Social Security. Yes, it's a smaller percentage of your pre-retirement income than it is for lower earners, but it's still a guaranteed inflation-adjusted stream that you can't outlive. That's worth its weight in gold when it comes to retirement security. The third sign you're on track is that you have a clear picture of what you actually spend, and more importantly, what you'll need to spend in retirement. Here's what most people get wrong. They guess. They think, I'll need $8,000 a month, without really knowing if that's realistic. But if you're tracking your spending now and you understand which expenses will go away in retirement, like your mortgage, if it'll be paid off, or work-related costs like commuting and professional wardrobes, then you're way ahead of the curve. Financial planners often use the 70 to 80% rule as a starting point. You'll need about 70 to 80% of your pre-retirement income for a high earner making $200,000. That's roughly $140,000 to $160,000 annually. But here's the thing, that's just a guideline. Your actual needs might be higher or lower depending on your plans. Maintain your lifestyle. Maybe you're planning to travel extensively in your 60s, those go-go years as we call them. Your spending might actually be higher in early retirement, or maybe your mortgage will be paid off and your kids are financially independent, so it drops significantly. The point is this, if you can sit down and map out your expected retirement expenses with some level of confidence, If you know what healthcare costs will be, what your property taxes are, what you spend on hobbies and travel, then you're demonstrating the kind of financial awareness that tends to lead to successful retirements. You're not flying blind. Let's talk about the fourth sign. You've thought about and started addressing the big risks that can derail even the best laid retirement plans. The three major risks are healthcare costs, potential long-term care needs, and having basic estate planning documents in place. First, healthcare. According to Fidelity's 2025 estimates, a 65-year-old couple retiring today will need approximately $315,000 saved to cover healthcare expenses throughout retirement. That's a big number, but if you plan for Medicare premiums, which will be $185 per month for Part B in 2025, plus supplemental insurance and out-of-pocket costs, you're way ahead. Let's go through some real numbers. Let's say you're 60 and planning to retire at 62. You need to bridge the gap until Medicare starts at 65. A good health insurance plan might cost you between $1,200 and $1,500 per month for a couple during those years. If you factored that into your plan, you're on track. Second, long-term care. This is the one that scares people, and rightfully so. According to Genworth's Cost of Care survey, the median annual cost for a private room in a nursing home exceeds $100,000 in many parts of the country. But here's the thing, you don't need to have all of that saved separately. Many people address this through a combination of strategies. Carving out a part of their portfolio, considering long-term care insurance, or planning to use home equity if needed. If you've at least had the conversation with your spouse or your advisor about how you'd like to handle a long-term care scenario, you're ahead of most people. You don't need every answer, but you need to have thought about the questions. Third, basic estate planning. I'm not talking about complex trust or dynasty planning, just the basics. Do you have a will? Do you have power of attorney for healthcare and finances? Do your beneficiaries know where to find important documents? If yes, you've checked this box. Here's what I tell clients. If you can afford to retire, you can also afford to die. It's one of my favorite reminders that having your estate planning basics covered is part of being truly retirement ready. The fifth and final sign you're on track, and this is one a lot of people overlook, is that you have money spread across different types of accounts. Tax-deferred accounts like your 401k, tax-free accounts like a Roth IRA, and taxable brokerage accounts. But why does this matter so much? Because it gives you flexibility to manage your taxes in retirement. And for high earners, taxes can be one of your biggest expenses in retirement if you're not strategic. Let's say you have $1.5 million in your 401k, $200,000 in a Roth IRA, and $300,000 in taxable brokerage. That's tax diversification. Here's how it helps you. In a year when you want to do big Roth conversions to save on future taxes, you can pull living expenses from your Roth or taxable accounts to keep taxable income low. In a year when you need extra cash, maybe you pull from your 401k and carefully manage how much income you recognize. For 2025, you can contribute up to $23,500 to your 401k if you're under 50, or $31,000 if you're 50 and older. Roth IRA contributions are $7,000 or $8,000 if you're 50 plus, though high earners phase out at $150,000 for singles or $236,000 for married couples. If you're not eligible for a Roth IRA directly, the backdoor Roth strategy is something to discuss with your advisor. The key insight here is this. If you have tax diversification, you have options. And options in retirement are incredibly valuable. You're not locked into one tax outcome. You can adapt to changes in tax law, changes in your spending, and changes in the market. Now, let's bring this all together. Here's why these 5 signs matter more than just saying, I need $2 million to retire. Vanguard's research shows that retirement readiness varies widely by income, and it's concentrated among the top 30% of earners. That's likely you if you're watching this video. But even among high earners, there's a huge gap between those who feel ready and those who actually are. The difference often comes down to these indicators, not your account balance. Someone with 1.2 million who checks all 5 of these boxes is probably in better shape than someone with 2 million who has only saved aggressively in the last few years, has no tax diversification, and hasn't thought about healthcare or long-term care. Why? Because retirement success isn't about accumulation alone. It's about having a sustainable, resilient plan. It's about having built the habits and the infrastructure that let you smoothly transition into this next phase of life. So let's say you're checking off all of 5 of these signs. What should you focus on in your final decade before retirement? First, maximize your catch-up contributions. If you're 50 or older, you can put away an extra $7,500 in your 401k on top of the $23,500. If you're between 60 and 63, there's a special enhanced catch-up of $11,250 total, bringing your max employee contribution to $34,750. This is your window to really accelerate your savings. Second, optimize your tax strategy. This is the time to work with a financial advisor on things like Roth conversions. If you retire at 60 and don't start Social Security until 65 or later, you might have several years of low income. A perfect window to convert traditional IRA dollars to Roth at lower tax rates. Those conversions can save you tens of thousands in taxes over your lifetime. Third, stress test your plan. Run scenarios. What if you retire and the market drops 30% in your first year? What if healthcare costs are higher than what you expected? If your plan holds up under these stresses, you can retire with real confidence. Fourth, think about the non-financial side of retirement. Retirement is a major life transition. Have you talked with your spouse about what your days will look like? Do you have hobbies, social connections, and a sense of purpose outside of work? Research from Morningstar shows that preparing emotionally and mentally for retirement is just as important as the financial side. And finally, get your estate planning buttoned up. Update your beneficiaries. Make sure your powers of attorney are current, and have a conversation with your kids about your wishes. This isn't just about money, it's about giving your family clarity and peace of mind. If you've been worried about whether you're truly ready to retire, I hope today's video gave you some clarity. These 5 signs, consistent savings, multiple income sources, stable spending, risk management, and tax diversification, are what we look for when we evaluate retirement readiness. They matter more than any single number. At Trello Wealth, we help families and retirees simplify financial complexity with personalized planning and disciplined investment management so they can move into retirement with clarity, confidence, and peace of mind. If you'd like help building a plan that addresses all 5 of these signs, I encourage you to schedule a call with our team. You can also download our free retirement readiness checklist at the link in the description below.